Alrighty, everybody. What is up, you guys? Welcome back here to another live here, you guys. So we are going to be doing another update here on this winter storm that we got going on here. It's actually starting to really kind of come together here. It's starting to really pick up here. But we're going to give it a second for everybody to join in here. But like I said, I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Hope you all are having a good one, and make sure you guys are prepared for the system. Hopefully you guys are prepared and stuff. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty good storm from what it looks like. Definitely for the Carolinas. It's not very often that they get really a good storm, and I think this is probably going to be one of their good ones of the year. So definitely got to keep a close eye out there. Anyways, what's up, K-Jack? Good to see you, my friend, saying hi, Andrew. What's up? Hope you're doing well. Like I said, we're going to take a second for everybody to join in here. What's up, Aaronola? Saying evening, y'all. What's up? Hope you're doing good. But yeah, we got a lot of warnings that are in place here. We're going to look at those here first. So let me pull up my pen so I can draw on the screen. Hopefully it'll let me do it. I need to restart it. It does this all the time. But we do have a lot of winter storm warnings in effect for literally the entire state of North Carolina. You can see that literally the whole state is under these warnings here. Same thing for South Carolina too. We also do have winter storm warnings in effect for the central and eastern side of Georgia, eastern Tennessee, a few counties in eastern Kentucky, one county, I believe, in southern West Virginia, as well as a little bit of southern Virginia here in these. So these pink ones, these are all winter storm warnings saying, hey, heavy impacts of winter weather is expected, so just please be careful, and I would not recommend travels in this area. Now, of course, this area here, it's a winter weather advisory. These actually extend all the way into portions of like eastern Alabama, obviously portions of Georgia here too, eastern, kind of east central Tennessee, out there by like Cookeville, Oak Ridge, Cleveland, Tennessee. We got some of those out there too. A little bit of southeastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia by Beckley. Of course, Southern Virginia, including Richmond here, is in these winter weather advisories where we could see a little bit of impacts here. What's up, Haley? What's up, Free Thinking? Saying, hey, Andrew, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Good to see ya. But yeah, I figured I'd go over that here real quickly. Also, what I'm not very happy about is we got these freeze warnings. I mean, literally all the way down to the tip of Florida. Obviously Miami is not in there because, the coastal areas here, especially out by Miami, are going to be a little bit warmer. So they're not going to be, in the freeze, or they're not in the freeze warning, but it's definitely going to be a cold night for them as well. But literally all the way down to pretty much the Everglades here, we do have freeze warnings in effect, which it's definitely going to be quite a chilly night for a lot of people. So definitely got to keep a close eye, out there for you guys, because it's going to be a really, really cold night. Anyways, what's up, Roby? Saying snowing lightly here in southwest Missouri. Really? Super cold, warm, and safe wishes. Really? Is it really snowing out there? Here, let's hop over to southwest Missouri. Ooh, you know what? It does show a little bit of snow showers out there, yeah. Huh. I got you. Here, let's go ahead and play that real quickly. I don't see how that is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see quite a few little snow showers going through the region. Absolutely. Well, enjoy your snow. It's probably not going to be anything big, given that these are just a couple little snow showers that are, kind of coming or going or whatever. But anyways, all right, y'all, let's hop over to models. We're not going to play around anymore. We got to get into some serious business here. So obviously we have this big winter storm, and y'all are probably wondering, how much are we going to be seeing with this storm? First of all, one of the biggest concerns with this storm is going to be damaging winds. We're going to have some real significant wind gusts out here. Especially along like eastern North Carolina. We're going to be dealing with a lot of really, really strong winds out here. So the first thing I do want to look at is actually going to be the winds. Let's just go ahead and get those out of the way so we can talk about that first. So let me bring up the HRRR. We're going to take a look and see kind of where the HRRR model stands right now. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do accumulated wind gusts. We'll go ahead and make this. Oops, did it again. Got to make it the points so you can see them a little bit better where the the wind gusts are, or how strong they are, I should say. So we'll make that a little bit bigger for you guys. We'll make them bold and make them have an outline there. Anyway, so these are the wind gusts here. So this is the HRRR model. So if we were to go to the latest 0 UTC run, we literally just had a fresh long run of the HRRR. So these winds are going to be quite ridiculous, as you can kind of see here. So first of all, according to the HRRR, I mean, we could even really see some strong wind gusts out by central Florida. We're talking like potentially 40 mile per hour wind gusts or so, maybe even higher in some local spots here for the central southern side of Florida. Northern Florida panhandle, for the continental side of Florida, we do have about 30 mile per hour winds expected here. Now, along Georgia's coast here, we're going to have a good potentially 40 mile per hour winds out there. South Carolina's coast, maybe 30, 40 mile an hour wind gusts or higher, but it really goes up once we approach eastern North Carolina, especially out there by, the bay here, by the, just the far eastern, areas of North Carolina here out in the banks is where we could see really a pretty good amount of strong winds. I mean, according to HRRR here, 60, maybe closer to 70 mile an hour wind gusts will be quite possible here, with this storm in particularly. And of course, as we go up the northeast coast here, while a lot of the northeast isn't really going to be having much issues with snowfall, they are, however, going to be having a bit of a problem with a lot of gusty winds. We are definitely going to be having some impacts here with some strong winds, around the coastal areas. So, got to keep it out there for that. But anyways, up there across the northeast coast, for the most part, it looks like, 40, maybe 50 mile per hour wind gusts in some spots, more towards 50 out by like Nantucket, eastern Massachusetts here towards like Provincetown, let's see, Yarmouth here, those areas out there are going to be in a pretty good amount of strong winds over here. So just want to let you guys know. And also for our Canadian friends up there in Nova Scotia, we're going to be having a good maybe 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts here being a, really good possibility. So definitely is going to be quite windy here with this storm. Now look at this. Now this has not been just this model that's been suggesting this. There could be some gusts, some swaths here out to sea just east of the mid-Atlantic, out there just east off the coast of North and South Carolina, where we could have some potential wind gusts of 90 to 100 mile an hour winds. Pretty darn crazy, given how strong this low is, given how the water, it's pretty flat, it's just flat ocean. These gusts can get really, really high because there's not a whole lot that's blocking, a lot of those strong winds either. So, we could definitely see some really strong wind gusts out to sea. And that's a good thing, to let you guys know, for any boaters who's out there, be sure to navigate around the storm. I would recommend getting away from the area because the storm, just let the storm go through. Because it is going to be very rough, not just in the winds, but, with the high winds, you can obviously assume that we're going to be dealing with, some really strong waves here as well. That's another thing, not just the winds, but also the waves out here out to sea. Anyway, so that's what the winds, what we're going to do. I'm actually going to save this workflow. We're going to call this one, here, let's just call this wind gusts. We'll just call it wind gusts here. We'll do wind. And then we'll change this to wind as well. And then we'll do private workflow because we can keep it for that. There we go. Perfect. So now we can just load that back up anytime we want to. So now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to remove everything. I do want to pull up those snow totals. We're going to look at the new HRRR regarding those accumulations and stuff. So let's go over here. We're going to go to the Kashira ratio. Total snow Kashira. Since we're in mostly a cold atmosphere, not a lot of places, are going to be above freezing. All of these areas are going to be below freezing, but what we really look out for is what's going on in the lower to mid atmosphere too, with the temperatures. In the last big storm we had, there was a lot of ice, and that was because there was a bit of warm air interacting with the system, melting the snow, causing it to melt back into water droplets, and then freezing upon, making contact with the ground. In this particular system, it's a little different. There's a lot more cold air involved, not just, on the ground where it's below freezing, but also all the way up in the atmosphere too. So, from the ground to the upper atmosphere, we are talking well below freezing temperatures. So that's going to keep everything light and fluffy with the snow, allowing it to be less dense, more light particularly, allowing it to stack up probably a little bit more. There's going to be more air gaps in between, the snow totals here. Anyway, so let's go ahead and add some points here. We're going to show you guys kind of what we might be talking about. Now, just a bit of a disclaimer. This is a singular model. This is the latest HRRR, so do not trust these totals specifically. But, we can get an idea based off of what we could see here. Obviously, the event is starting now. You can see on the radar behind me, that's the current radar right now. You can see everything starting to kind of kick up here. So definitely got to keep a close eye on it. Oh my goodness, free thinking coming in with a $10 super chat, my friend. Thank you so much for that. That is greatly appreciated. Free Thinking said, let's go ahead and hop over here actually to the comment real quickly. Here, let's switch on over. This is a big shout out to Free Thinking for the 10, saying, hey, Andrew, when you get a moment, can I please go over what to expect? I have a newborn grandchild. Oh my gosh, congratulations. 3 days old here with me. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. Seriously, thank you so much. And congratulations once again. That is amazing. And absolutely, I can pull that up here for you. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Once again, thank you so much for the 10. That is greatly appreciated. So, all right, so we're going to hop over here. Now, for Macon, we're going to look at you first of all. So, according to the American HRRR model, it doesn't really show a whole lot of snow for you. Maybe a trace to an inch at maximum, we could see. So, not really expecting a whole lot of snowfall here for you. However, we'll get back to you here in 1 second with the winds. I do want to go ahead and just quickly show what we're looking at over here. But for eastern North Carolina, there could be some spots where we could see well over a foot worth of snowfall here overall. Even down by possibly like Wilmington, some localized spots could reach up to a foot or so worth of snowfall. Same thing for the Smoky Mountains, seeing quite a bit of heavy snow overall here as well. So definitely getting a pretty good amount of accumulation here. It seems like the HRRR doesn't show as much for like Raleigh. It seems like there's a little bit of a pocket here where we get a little bit less snowfall overall. So, definitely got to keep an eye out there for that. Here, let me also save this one here too. We're going to save this as, let's do snowfall projection. There we go. If I can even spell. And then I'm going to pull up your wind gusts here, Free Thinking, in 1 second. So let's change this to snow real quickly. I just want to make sure I have one that I can like kind of hop between, you know what I mean? There we go. Perfect. All right, so let's hop back over to the winds. I'll go ahead and show you what we got going on for your winds, my friend. So let's do that. So here is our wind gusts. So we'll go ahead and go back down here. So this is according to the latest long-range HRRR model. So looking at your wind gusts here, it looks like we definitely could be dealing with some pretty strong winds out there. The HRRR suggests that we could see some wind gusts maybe upwards of 40 miles an hour or so being possible. So, got to keep it out there for that. I'd say between 30 and 40 mile per hour wind gusts is possible. The American GFS shows about 30 mile an hour wind gusts being possible. Euro shows, whenever it loads here, Euro shows about 30 to 40. So yeah, pretty much 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts could be expected. Give or take, worst case scenario, probably at worst an inch of snowfall. So not really a lot for you. You'll probably see a little bit of snow, probably not a lot of accumulation with it, and probably some strong winds. That's what you can expect. But once again, Free Thinking, thank you so much for that. That is greatly appreciated. What's up, Calvin? Say good evening, Andrew. Good evening, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Okay, thank you so much. You're always welcome. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much once again. What's up, Blue Ridge? Good to see you. Saying good evening. Hello. What I think I'll get in Damascus, Virginia. Well, let me pull up Damascus. Let's see here. We'll hop y'all back over here. So Damascus, we are in. There we go. Damascus, Virginia. Okay, so you're actually under a winter storm warning here. The Weather Service has you between 4 and 8 inches possible, with local higher amounts up to 12 inches. So that's quite a range. Mainly expecting 4 to 8, but you could have some local totals, up to a foot. So that's a pretty good amount of snowfall there. There is a little bit of a disagreement here, but, in terms of, like the winds and stuff like that, it seems like you're kind of just south here of, let's see. Okay, so you're kind of right to the south over here. So, you definitely could see some pretty strong wind gusts. We're talking maybe 20, 30 mile an hour wind gusts being possible. Not as strong as, some like the coastal areas, of course. That's where the main winds are going to really be at. But yeah, a little bit of winds and, possibly a pretty good amount of snowfall out there. Could have some local spots pretty high. So definitely got to keep an eye out there for that. Anyways, all right, let's see here. Free Thinking says, thanks again. No problem. Thank you again. Seriously, that's greatly appreciated. All right, let's see. So I'm good at snowing right now, hoping for a good bit. I got you. Well, enjoy your snow, my friend. What's up, Crystal? Good to see you. Blue Ridge says up to about 3 inches in Bristol, Virginia, Tri-Cities. Gotcha. Let's see. Calvin says this weekend in Houston, Texas, last day of freezing weather. I wouldn't say last day. We still got all of February to go through, so there's a pretty good shot that we could continue on into February. So, what's up, Jerry? Good to see you. Let's see. Blue Ridge says it's a fine snow too, coming down pretty good. Yes, and that's the main thing, guys, is that this snow isn't going to be the best for snowmen. This is going to be that light fluffy stuff. And the reason is like I was explaining a minute ago, is the atmosphere is going to be so cold, not just from the ground level. A lot of people just focus on the temperature on the ground. Y'all got to think there's a lot going on up there. There's a lot more, actually more important stuff going on up there. And that's the temperatures, at those levels as well. So whenever it comes to it, these temperatures are so cold and they're well below freezing from the ground to the upper atmosphere. So they're all below freezing, keeping it nice, pure snow. And during the events where you have that clumpy kind of good snowball type snow, that is where there's at least one layer in the atmosphere which the temperature gets at the freezing point or slightly above freezing, just for a brief moment of time, which can allow for the snow to melt a little bit, not fully, but enough to really kind of get good clumpage. I guess that's a new word I'll come up with, clumpage together. So definitely allows for it to be better for snowballs. But in this case, it's going to be a lot of light, fluffy, powdery stuff. And because of its being light, it's not going to compact. See, the heavier snow likes to compact and, likes to sit down a lot further. The lighter stuff tends to accumulate higher because it's not as heavy for the most part. Anyways. All right, let's see. Thanks for the info. No problem. No more snow for the Ohio Valley. We already have 14 inches. Ooh, yeah, that's not very good. Well, you guys are lucky on this one. You ain't really going to get this one. This is more of a mid-Atlantic kind of storm here. Mid-Atlantic southeast kind of storm. All right, let's see here. Randall, let's go ahead and pull up your area, my friend. We'll see what we got going on for you. So you're in Virginia. Yep. So out there by Virginia Beach, Newport News area, out where you're at, we're going to have some pretty good snowfall. So right now, the National Weather Service has you in for 7 to 12 inches with locally higher amounts possible. So, we're talking a pretty good amount of snowfall. I think Virginia Beach area is going to get hit pretty good. I think between Virginia Beach and, eastern North Carolina, that's where the heaviest impacts are going to be out there. So, but the Weather Service, they obviously do have you in for some pretty, pretty high end totals here. So going to be dealing with a pretty good amount of snowfall overall. So definitely keep an eye on it. Now, in terms of the winds here, we'll go and hop our way back over to the models. This is the Euro once again. Showing Virginia Beach possibly seeing maybe 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts. We could even have some stronger wind gusts, a little bit further out. But yeah, definitely going to be a bit windy. I'm really concerned for the banks here of North Carolina. That's what I'm a little bit concerned about. Look at this. These winds are going to be not anything friendly at all. 70, maybe even closer to 80 mile an hour wind gusts in some spots. So it's really going to be pretty powerful, especially, you go farther out to sea. Those winds really get great. Look at that, man. That is wild. Yeah, that's crazy. Some serious wind gusts, the farther you go out. GFS is a little different on those accumulations, well, that too, but also the winds here, not as strong, but still, 50, 60 mile an hour winds out there was definitely enough to cause some damage and stuff. All right, let's see. It's insane to see an extreme cold warning in full. That is true. Yeah, I got my warnings here earlier. We have freeze warning, extreme cold warning in effect here. It's going to be a wild, really cold night. And the wind is going to make it terrible. That's the thing, is the wind is really going to make it bad. So obviously we have quite a bit of wind coming in through Florida as well from this system. And it's going to be pulling down a lot of cold air. So basically what's going on in this system here is, we have this low that's starting to develop, that area of low pressure. Now, these guys, they rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. And because of that, they kind of drag down cold air. So obviously, it's been really cold across a lot of the central eastern country. And because of the nature and how they rotate counterclockwise, it's going to be dragging cold air further downward, which is going to bring it down to Florida, of course. And so that's going to really be bad, and that's why we're getting so cold, is because of that low is so far down south, and it's so strong that it's literally pulling all of that cold air from up north and pulling it directly down south. That is the whole reason why, we are getting a lot of that cold air, which is, yeah, it kind of sucks. Anyways. All right. North Carolina's going to get a nice layering with this one. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think North Carolina is going to be in for quite a bit here. Let's hop back over here to the snow totals. We'll go ahead and bring those back up here. So this is, once again, the HRRR, the latest her model run here. And, you can see some of the heaviest accumulations are really going to be out there by the coastal area. Like Myrtle Beach, I mean, according to the HRRR, could see up to a foot of snow. That's pretty crazy. It also shows, another area here in far eastern North Carolina. Kind of out there just east of Jacksonville, like northeast of Jacksonville, out by like James City, Havelock, let's see, Aurora. Some of these areas getting, well over a foot potentially. But, you got to remember this is also just one model here. And then, of course, it shows areas like Virginia Beach, really not showing a lot of snow accumulation from the latest HRRR. So then we'll hop over to GFS. Yeah, there's still a lot of uncertainty. So guys, don't be surprised if you see a big drastic difference in the totals that you are forecasted for and what you actually get. Just because of how much uncertainty there still is. There's some talks with some of the models showing a bit of drier air getting into it, which would lower the totals for some people. But the models are still a little bit iffy here. They haven't been doing the best with this storm. It's just such a different storm. It's kind of hard to grasp essentially what is going to happen with it. But anyways, yeah, GFS does show, a little bit of streaks up in the Smokies out there, in the upper elevations of, Tennessee, western North Carolina. And of course, we do have some farther parts of eastern North Carolina in some of those heavy accumulations here. Some of them going up towards like eastern Georgia, some areas 3 to 5, locally higher amounts, especially for northeastern side. So anyways, all right, let's see. I've gone through quite a bit of firewood this year in South Louisiana. I bet you have. That's one thing I do miss. I miss the wood stove. I used to have one up in Virginia when I lived up there with my dad. Let's see here. Newport, North Carolina here. What's up, cat lady? Good to see ya. I guess you want me to look at Newport for you. I can definitely do that. So let's hop on over here. So you, my friend, you're under a winter storm warning. Weather Service has you under 8 to 12 inches of snow, locally higher amounts possible. So yeah, you're going to be seeing pretty good amounts. I think Newport area is probably going to be dealing with, pretty good amounts of winds here too. Here, let's hop back to the models here. We'll bring back up our wind gusts here. Yeah, I think some of these areas here are going to be dealing with some pretty strong winds as well. So let's bring up our GFS. So yeah, I mean, according to GFS, we could be seeing, 40 mile an hour wind gusts or greater potentially. So, pretty good amounts of, wind gusts out there. In terms of Euro, the ECMWF here, we have a good 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. But look off the coast here. Euro is very significant and shows like 70, 80, upwards of 100 mile an hour wind gusts, just a little bit offshore here. I mean, this is, let's go ahead and do a measurement here. So from the coast, it shows, a good 100 miles out or so out there in the open water, like ridiculously strong winds here. I mean, like crazy numbers, like 125 mile an hour winds. It's crazy. But luckily, the coastal areas will not be seeing nothing like that, thankfully. But they'll still be getting some pretty heavy stuff. I think definitely up by like Virginia Beach and eastern North Carolina. I think that's where we're going to have some of the heavy gusts here overall. So got to keep an eye out there for that. All right. Couple of rough temp days ahead. Yeah, unfortunately. Let's see. Am I ready for severe weather in a few months? Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I'm not ready for the chaos and the damage that they cause, but I am ready for warmer temperatures. That's what I am ready for. I'm tired of this cold already. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Cat Leader says, thanks, no problem. What's up, Brady? Good to see ya. Prepare for power outages just in case. Yeah, that's good. With these strong winds and stuff, I mean, it's going to be a really good possibility. Absolutely. That's crazy. One gust. Yeah, those gusts get pretty wild according to Euro out there. But like I said, thankfully that's not going to be anywhere near the coastal areas. So that'll be good. And honestly, I think that could just be Euro being Euro. Like GFS, I mean, it shows some strong winds, of course, like 70, 80 mile an hour winds and some closer to 90. But then you got Euro that just takes it a million miles in a different direction. It shows like way, way, way higher. Here's the GDPS model. This is the Canadian model showing, about actually 80, 90, 100 mile an hour wind gusts way out to sea there. So Yeah, this one shows, once again, also the Outer Banks, the bank area here in eastern North Carolina showing, a good 60, 70 mile an hour winds out there. Really, really strong stuff. And, even for my friends up in Nova Scotia, too, Newfoundland, you guys are going to get some pretty strong winds out of this, too. And I think Nova Scotia is supposed to get a pretty good amount of snow, actually, out of this as well. Which, let's hop back to my snowfall projection. We'll hop back over to GFS for a moment. Which, GFS definitely shows some of the heavy street going well into Nova Scotia, especially the central, northeastern side. I mean, some areas could get near 2 feet or more. So, like I said, this is going to be the light, fluffy stuff, and this stuff will really, really pile up quick. Like I said, it's not as heavy as the wet snow. The stuff that's good for snowballs, this is not the stuff. But also Euro shows well over a foot, maybe towards 2 feet in some areas or greater. It's crazy, crazy stuff. But anyways, have you guys been hearing about that potential Florida snow? Yeah, so I'm not too sold on the idea. I know there's been a lot of people who's been really trying to push that there could be some Florida snow. I think a lot of people are just doing it for traction, just for views and stuff, which is why I haven't put anything on it. But I guess I'll bring it up here real quickly, just to kind of let y'all know what we're in for. So there's been a little bit of talk about maybe some Florida snow. I mean, if it even happens, it would be in the form of showers, and it wouldn't even accumulate because the ground is still way too warm, obviously, in Florida. But anyways, let me bring up the. We'll do precipitation type reflectivity here. So this kind of shows you what we're looking at. So. Here's the latest HRRR, the 0 UTC. I actually kind of debunked that. Didn't really show. Well, actually shows a few freezing rain showers. Not really much of anything. Let's hop back to the 18 Zulu, so I can show you a run that actually did show some snow showers. There you go. Yeah, so the 18 Zulu shows it, but honestly, I really don't think we're going to have much snow out here, to be honest with you. I hate to burst y'all's bubbles and stuff, but I just don't see it happening. I don't think it's going to be anything, definitely nothing accumulative. I mean, at most, maybe a flurry or two here or there, if it even happens. But I'm not really sold on that idea, so just please don't get your hopes up. I know a lot of people are getting your all's hopes up for that, but I'm here to tell you it's probably not going to happen. It's probably just not going to happen. A lot of dry air takes over. If it does happen, it's going to be in the lower levels. Which it's not going to stack up very high. It would just probably be flurries more than anything. All right. Anyways, what's up, bros? Good to see you. Saying hello. What's going on right now? We are watching that storm materialize. You can see right behind me there on the TV. That's the current radar view. This is current right now. You can see everything starting to pile up. Like there's North Carolina right there. You got Virginia up there, Kentucky right here. And you can start to see a lot of it starting to materialize out there. It's starting, and it's gonna go throughout the night. By the time we approach tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow afternoon we'll do some coverage for you guys, and we'll be here to show you guys what's going on. We'll have live cameras and stuff like that for y'all. I do plan on it. What's up, Holden? Good to see you, my friend. Saying hi from Wingate, North Carolina. What time should we expect it to snart? That's a new word. Start here. Let me bring it up, my friend. Let's see. I always scramble my words, man. I tell you, I don't know what's going on with me lately. I feel like I converge two words together sometimes. All right, so you're in a winter storm warning. We are expecting 4 to 7 inches. Winds as high as 35. So timing for you is what you wanted to know. So you're in the south side, south central side. It looks like it'll start sometime later morning tomorrow. So if we hop back, so that's according to the HRRR model. So yeah, you're down in this area here. It seems like we'll start to pile in those snow showers and stuff sometime in the later morning. You should be full-fledged snow by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Here's kind of the model here showing. Can you guys see the time there? You can see it barely in the bottom left. You see where my cursor is? That's the timing. So that's 7 p.m. Eastern. Definitely showing some heavy snow over there by you, but it seems like it'll start sometime in the later morning. It should be out by like I said, it should be really start going full-fledged snow by the later afternoon, early evening. So anyways, all right, good night, Crystal. Thanks for joining. Haley says snows are my favorite, but I really miss severe weather. I gotcha. Yeah, I hear you. What's up, ATR? Saying, hey, Andrew. Let's see, how have I been? What about? I've been good. Been doing all right, hanging in there. What about the zip code? Let me pull it up for you. Let's see what we got going on here out by you. Let's pull this up. We got ourselves South Carolina here. Winter storm warning. Okay, you have 4 to 7 inches of snowfall. Winds gusts as high as 35 from the Weather Service. So, pretty good. Pretty good amount of snow. It looks like it'll start out there sometime in the later morning tomorrow. Yeah, you can see on this panel here. It kind of shows it happening pretty much mid-morning, for the most part. Brady says it's snowing in Atlanta. Is it really? Is it snowing in Atlanta? Here, let me pull up my radar. I didn't think it was supposed to go out there by now. I always thought KFFC radar reminds me of like Kentucky Fried Chicken. It always makes me hungry when I go to this radar. Yeah, I don't see it on radar. Are you sure it's snowing? Or are you just saying that? Are you fibbing? I don't know about that. Holden says thank you. No problem. Got you. Yeah, like I said, guys, if y'all have any questions, be sure to let us know. We'll be here to help you guys out and let y'all know what we can expect. We actually do have some reports coming in here, some totals reports. Let's see, out by the Appalachian Plateau of Virginia. We got like between 2 and 3 inches reported in far southwestern far southwestern Virginia. Let's see. Brady says north of Atlanta. Okay. Well, I mean, you can see that radar up there. That's where all the snow is. Yeah, you can see there was a little bit, but it looks like that's already kind of pushed through. It must be like really far northwest. So, what's up, Eddie? Good to see you. Saying no snow yet in eastern North Carolina. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit before y'all get it. Like we mentioning the timing. Honestly, for you guys, it could start kind of earlier. So it looks like, okay, so here's what's going on, right? So we have a little bit of moisture over here. So we have a little bit of snow that's happening now. It looks like a hot dog. Sorry, sidetracked. So we got a little bit of snow that starts over here, right? So that's already going on. But then we also have some moisture out there by the coast, which, we could start to maybe pick up a little bit of accumulation or a little bit of snow and accumulations, but, a little bit early here. We're talking maybe like, later this evening, late this evening, early morning. So that's why I think some of the eastern sides of North Carolina are going to be getting a bit. And that explains why the middle of North Carolina doesn't get as much. It's because of a little bit more drier air, kind of separating these two moisture masses. So we have the moisture over there, we have the moisture over here, and then like right in between, there's a bit of drier air. So, with that being said, that's probably why we're going to have some higher totals out in the east, is because they're going to get some of the early stuff, and then by the time this stuff rolls through, then it'll just add on top of it. Let's see here. We're excited here, everyone. Let us know. Absolutely. We'll enjoy it, my friend. It's going to be a good one. But let me warn you, it is going to not be the best of stuff for snowballs, unfortunately. It's going to be that stuff that just falls apart in your hand. Like I mentioned, that's more of pure snow. That's more of like, snow in pure form is that stuff that's like very powdery and doesn't clump. Like I said, when you get the clumpy snow, that's when you have a little bit of thawing going on in the lower mid atmosphere. Where the temperature briefly goes above freezing or right towards that freezing line, allows it to melt a little bit and kind of fuse together. Anyways. Let's see. Brady says, how much are my cousins going to get in Jacksonville, North Carolina? Well, let me look and we'll see. Weather Service has you guys for 8 to 12 inches, locally higher amounts possible. And we could have some gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. Eddie says, let's see. I hope it still snows. I'm near Raleigh. I hope that dry spot doesn't affect us. Yeah, Raleigh is kind of in the middle of where that dry spot could be. Right now, the Weather Service, they have you for 5 to 8 inches. Remember, this is also just one model, too. But yeah, this is the HRRR. Goodness, look at that. That almost looks like an eye of a hurricane. That's crazy. Later, let's pull up another model. We'll pull up another high res. Let's do FV3 maybe. Let's see what that model shows us. Yeah, the FV3 doesn't show as much dry air as you can see. I mean, obviously there's some pockets here and there, but it shows the main mass still relatively connected, unlike the HRRR. Let's try another one. We'll do the NAM 3K, the forbidden NAM 3 kilometer model. Honestly, you're not going to like the NAM. The NAM model isn't really your friend. Yeah. Well, let me ease it a little bit. NAM is really not a good model. NAM 3K is not really the best model. It's more of a matter of fact. I think they're getting rid of the NAM this year because of how bad it is. It's terrible. It's terrible. But yeah, that model just shows you getting like nothing at all. Just keeps everything just south of you. But like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's kind of out of this world. Let's see. We'll do another model here. This is NSSL. Showing you get a bit, yeah. So this is the National Severe Storms Laboratories model, which, yeah, I mean, you can definitely see. I mean, keeps it pretty good for the most part. Actually, you know what? Kind of looks like those banks out there where we're going to be seeing those really heavy winds might be to the point where it might be rain for a lot of you guys for most of it. Now, for the eastern mainland of North Carolina, it'll be snow. But for the banks here, it could actually be a little bit of rain. Let me see if I can grab a sounding there. Oh, of course there's not. Hey, let's try the HRRR maybe. I don't know if her shows the same thing. Yeah, it actually does. Here, let's go back to the 0 UTC. Yeah, so you can see it's mostly rain. If I was to grab a sounding, probably from a lot of the warmer air from the water starting to get involved. Oh, yeah. You know what? You can see what's going on here. So here's your SKU-T chart. So I know it looks like a lot of gibberish, and don't take it all in at once. I know it looks pretty scary looking. But just focus on this here. Okay, so this is your SKU-T chart. So it basically tells us the temperature profile, throughout the atmosphere, from lower to upper atmosphere. The higher you go up in the graph, the higher altitude you're going. So basically, this red right here, I just tried to clear it. So this red line here, this is your temperature line. Okay, so on the ground, you can see the temperature is 41. So obviously, we have a lot warmer lower levels than we do upper levels. So here's your freezing line. Okay, I drew that very badly. Let's try that again. So right here, so this is your freezing line, right? So everything on this side is below freezing. Everything on this side is above freezing. Okay. So you can see that most of our red line's below freezing. So this is, lower atmosphere to upper atmosphere. A lot of our upper atmosphere is below freezing. But once we get towards the ground, you can see it pushes right above that freezing point, which is all above freezing. So temperatures on the ground are above freezing, but in the mid-upper atmosphere, they're below. Which that's going to be stopping those areas from getting from getting snow. They're going to be getting rain because of that. Now, further inland, it's going to be colder on the surface, which is going to allow for it to be snow. So while in the upper atmosphere, it's falling as snow, by the time it gets to the surface for these areas, it melts and turns into rain. So, which, believe it or not, even in thunderstorms, there's snow up there. There is snow up there. In some storms there is. There's a lot of ice crystals and stuff in thunderstorms. It's a whole big mess. But anyways, that's not really, kind of a little bit of off topic there. Let's see here. The light snow will definitely blow in the gusty winds. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna be having a lot of really heavy winds in the light snow for sure. Yep. Excuse me. Kind of losing my voice there for some reason. Let's see. We'll find out in 24 hours and less. Yeah, that's for sure. Enjoy it, my friend. I mean, I think you'll definitely see something here. I mean, it definitely looks like a pretty good amount for, especially a lot of the coastal areas here, which, I mean, this is going pretty far south. I mean, this is where, a lot of people don't usually see that much snow. I mean, this is kind of a rare storm. It's a lot further south than, a lot of these other storms have been, So, I mean, it'll definitely be, I think, a pretty good one for you. I still can't get over that core there. It literally looks like a hurricane. That's crazy. But anyways, folks, well, if you guys have any questions, be sure to let us know in the chat. Like I said, if y'all want me to take a look at a specific area, kind of let y'all know what you're in for, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys, stay weather aware, stay up to date with everything, and, we'll be sure to help you guys out as much as we can. And, like I mentioned, we'll be here to cover this a lot tomorrow. I do plan on it. Because it's going to be a pretty strong storm from what it looks like here. I mean, it's going to be a good one. And it's like I said, this one's not a super common storm. For such a powerful storm for the Carolinas. I mean, it can happen, of course, which it is, but it's probably going to be one of your best ones for the Carolinas this year. I mean, obviously, I don't know if we're going to get any stronger ones after this. Nobody knows that, but this is definitely going to be one of your good ones, which I know a lot of you guys in this region have been really wanting a lot of snow out there. So, I mean, half of the people, we actually did a poll a while ago. It was like literally crazy because it was like 50-50. Half the people love the snow, half the people hate it. So I know at least half of you guys are going to be enjoying this out there. Anyways, but let's see. Holden, you said you're in Wingate, North Carolina. Did we already go over that area? But I hope you're doing good, man. But here, let's hop back to the winds. I do want to take a look back at those winds here. Let's pull up our bundle. We'll do our wind gusts here. Yeah, it's definitely going to be very, very windy for sure. Here, let me actually bring up surface. I do have a wind. Actually, here's current observations we can pull up here. This is right now, so we're now casting at this point. So what we were looking at before, those were models projecting the future. This is all current data, by the way. So, I mean, you can see where the freezing line is now, on the map here. So this is current. Once again, this is right now. You can see where that freezing line kind of is at the current moment. So obviously a lot of these areas are already below freezing. And, as the night progresses, that freezing point is going to go a lot further south. Now, for Florida and my folks out here, tonight's not going to be the cold night. It's going to be tomorrow night where we're going to have the cold night. That's where the temperature is going to get, ridiculously low. But yeah, you can see, like I said, once again, this is the RTMA analysis showing, current temperatures and stuff like that right now. But it's definitely going to get really cold. Then we have our radar. So this is what I have on the TV behind me. So, like I said, this is going on right now. We'll go ahead and hide that real quickly. But yeah, I mean, you can see a lot of the snow right now. It's up in eastern Tennessee, a little bit of Virginia, Kentucky. We got a few snow showers. It looks like out by, North Carolina, maybe a little bit of central Virginia going on right now. Maybe some rain out by South Carolina. Let's say we should have had a radio sonde or weather balloon launch here not too long ago. Let me grab one for Greensboro. This is the latest weather balloon data we got. So let me pull that up and see what we got going on here in the atmosphere. Hopefully everything's below freezing, which it is. Yep. So there's your freezing line on this QT chart. So once again, everything below here is below freezing. Everything on the left is below freezing. Everything on the right of the line is above freezing. So, I mean, yeah, you can see that this was an actual weather balloon that got launched, by the way. This is actual data. This is not model data. Once again, we're looking at current data. But yeah, you can see that the temperatures are well below freezing at the atmosphere, from the lower to upper atmosphere. Yeah, we're golden. And you can see how close our dew point is for quite a distance here. I mean, you can see that this layer of the atmosphere is pretty moisture filled. That was a perfect box. But yeah, I mean, you can see here, I mean, even on the graph here, you see our humidity levels. You can see at this correlation of the atmosphere right here, it's pretty moist. So given that moisture that we have here, and gosh, I can't draw worth anything today. So this is our moisture, really high in this particular altitude. This is mostly between 1 and 6 kilometers altitude. This is a little bit of a moisture layer. And, once again, with our temperatures all being below freezing from ground to upper atmosphere, this is perfect. So moisture and cold temperatures, perfect spot to generate some snowfall. So I mean, it's there. And of course we do have some pretty decent strong winds, especially in our mid upper atmosphere. Some areas well over 100 knots. That's crazy fast. But yeah, that was taken out there for northern North Carolina here. We'll go ahead and grab another one. This is Blacksburg, another weather balloon launch, which is a little bit further north. We'll see what this one shows. Yep, same thing basically. Once again, that very moist layer here between pretty much 1 and 6 kilometers here. So pretty full of moisture. And like we mentioned, the temperature is all below freezing from ground level. Ground level here, it's 23 degrees Fahrenheit. And once again, this is your 32-degree line. Here's your surface. Here's 15 kilometers up here. So we go up in altitude. Everything's below freezing. So that is good. That is good. So, I mean, yeah, everything's looking pretty golden. Let me try South Carolina here. Should be a little warmer, given that we're closer to the coast here. Yes. So there's your freezing line. You can see down our freezing level is about 5,000 feet up. So that's where it becomes freezing. But yeah, surface is 51 degrees Fahrenheit at that point. But eventually, as the night goes down, we lack diurnal heating. So basically, that because the sun's out, we're not getting any surface heating. These temperatures are going to start to draw back into the freezing territory. And eventually, once that cold air starts pushing back too, we'll get more colder air in the region. By the way, do you guys like it when I do the nowcasting? I feel like we don't do this enough on the channel, to be honest with you. I guess because mostly we forecast anyways. We don't do much of real-time stuff, but I feel like we could start to do a lot more real-time stuff. Here's a sounding in Nashville. Once again, I mean, there's a few little dry slots here. You can see there the dew point kind of spikes and goes back. So, I mean, yeah, looking at our humidity graph, you can see that, once again, the x-axis in this case is the y-axis is the altitude. And, for this part, it's fairly moist. But, yep, all temperatures are below freezing. So that's that. What's up, Mark? Good to see you, my friend. But like I said, here's current radar. I mean, you can see everything's starting to do it. Starting to do stuff. You like it, Blue Ridge? See, I'm dreading these negative wind chills values coming up. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not going to be any fun, is it? Yeah, I can imagine. It's not really looking forward to that. All right, let's take a look at our dew points here. They should be really low. Yeah, really, really low stuff. I'm ready for summertime, honestly. And like I said, here's our current temperatures right now across the country. The white line that you see here, I can also probably throw in the 0 degree isotherm. So this just tells us where the freezing line is, the 0 degree isotherm. So an isotherm is just a temperature that's constant. So 0 degree isotherm just basically means that it's constantly 0 degrees. Really useful in a SKU-T chart that we were just looking at. Where I drew that line, that freezing line, that's our 0 degree isotherm. It goes up through the atmosphere. But anyways, this also shows us where the temperature is 0 degrees on the surface, which I'll make it white so you can see maybe a little bit better. We'll also increase the width here too. Maybe I'll make it blue. I want to make it we'll just do black. That makes it noticeable. There we go. Yep, so that's where that freezing point is. Hasn't loaded for these hours yet. But yeah, you can see from yesterday the temperatures, and then the sun came out, heated up the south a little bit, but cold air is starting to push back further south. You can see in the last few scans. Ooh, yeah. Here's our winds, too. Let's see, not looking forward to it. Yeah, I can imagine so. It's around 20 degrees here. Yeah, no thank you. Yeah, no thanks. So the winds right now don't seem to be anything too crazy. It looks like out by the Carolina coast, they might be a little strong right now. We do got some parallel winds, running southwest, parallel to the coast here. Maybe 25, 30 mile per hour wind gusts here. But those are obviously going to go up higher as we progress further down in time. So we'll be doing a lot of nowcasting tomorrow. So we'll definitely be here to, give you guys some more info and, more data and stuff like that tomorrow. Yeah, but we'll be doing a lot of this nowcasting here stuff tomorrow. Yep. So for my folks up in Northern Virginia, unfortunately, the air is just going to be too dry. We're not going to have any snowfall. While the temperatures obviously support it, with the temperatures being well below freezing, you can definitely see. I mean, we do have a little bit of a layer where we have some moisture. This is mostly between 3 and 9 kilometers. Where we have a little bit of a area where we have a little bit more moisture. But if there was any snow to develop out of this, it would probably fall, and once it interacts with this drier air, it'd probably reabsorb into the atmosphere, which, yeah, it can actually happen. There was a term for it. The sublimation? Honestly, I forgot the term for it. But, yeah, basically, there is, since there's a lot of moisture, and there would possibly be some snow development here in this layer of the atmosphere, pretty much from 12,000 to 25,000 feet up. There would be a little bit of snow possibly falling, but, once it goes into the lower atmosphere between like 0 and like 12,000 feet, it would probably start to reabsorb back up into the atmosphere. No, sublimation is something else. Isn't that where something goes from? I need to catch up on my books. It's been a moment. Wow, that's gonna bother me now. I gotta pull this up. Hold on. Is that where it goes from a gas or from a solid to a gas, or is that from? Let's see. Sublimation is, yes, transferred from a solid to a gas. Okay, that's what it was. I knew it. I knew it wasn't right. I knew it was something else. Man, oh man. But that's kind of what's going on there, though. Because it's going from snowflake and being reabsorbed back into water vapor. All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to go ahead and probably call the stream here. Just wanted to hop on here, do a little bit of nowcasting like we just did, and, a little bit of forecasting as well. So if y'all did enjoy this, be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, everything's starting to pop off now. We do have a little bit of stuff starting to take off or, take shape here. Right now it's just kind of a little bit of pockets of snow, some snow showers, stuff like that. So right now it's not really too crazy, but it's going to really start to pick up quite a bit here pretty soon from the way it looks here. But if you guys did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button. It'll be greatly appreciated. Once again, everybody, thank you all so much for watching. It's greatly appreciated. And, once again, if y'all did enjoy it, be sure maybe even to consider sharing it with a friend or a family member too. Much appreciated. But yeah, guys, if y'all have any final comments or questions before I roll off, let me know. Does my camera look better than yesterday's stream? I feel like it's more snappy. I feel like it's more like, because I messed with the camera settings a little bit because it was kind of weird. But anyways, Haley says, have a great night. You too, my friend. Aaronola says, appreciate you, Andrew. I appreciate you too, Aaronola. Thanks for stopping by. Mark says, thank you, Andrew. Always informative. No problem, Mark. Hope you stay safe out there. Bundle up, man. It's cold. It's going to be real cold. Especially you being in West Virginia. Yeah, you got the upper elevation stuff. It makes it even colder. So, all right, everybody. You guys take care. Have a great night. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Once again, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Leave it a like. Once again, big shout out tonight goes to Free Thinking for the $10 super chat. Appreciate it. And, all right, everybody. I'm not giving a specific time on when I'm going live tomorrow. It just depends when I get up and going and stuff. And so just stay tuned. It'll be good. Actually, it's a good reason why to keep post notifications on. So there you go. But all right, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.